still a hard man. I am Imperator of Forge, and I am going to talk about the horribly bad fundamentals within the tenets of Christianity, and why it is that I just have come to the conclusion that it has no answers. No church has any answers. This religion is a fraud. I can finally say it. I don't know what else to say. The church is a fraud. The Christian church and the markings of Christianity is a fraud. It is a total and absolute sham religion created by the elites, the mercantile elites, to control the populace. If there was ever a means of mind control that the elites could utilize on their host population, if there was ever a better way, no better way to control the masses of mankind, then it would be through religion. Religion is the absolute best, perfect means to co-op and control a population together with the police state, the military, and the political system or political parties. And I'm going to tell you that despite what Christians say, despite what Christians claim and what Christians say, they do not staunchly oppose the establishment. No, as a matter of fact, they actually condone it. They fully embrace and fully support this system, the powers that be. Like, don't give me this nonsense that to be a Christian is to be in opposition. Yeah, sure, there's a few relatively fringe Christian groups. Sure, that's everywhere in society. Hold on a second, I got to adjust my volume. Okay, there we go. Yeah, of course, there will always be an oppositional group in any religion to what the majority follows. But they're the exception. And as far as I can tell, all of the major Protestant and Catholic and Orthodox sects, Oriental Orthodox sects, they all support the political establishment of the elites. These are the same elites that practice Luciferianism, go to the Freemasonic Lodge where they talk about Harem Habif, the Grand Master. They talk about all of these occultic things and whatnot. Like, none of these churches are coming out in opposition of this. So, I have to conclude that Christianity is just a means for the powers that be and the elites to control. The church, the police forces, the military, the banks, and the political establishments are all vocally in support of these things. The Universalist Unitarian churches are absolutely flamboyantly woke. I mean, the Universalist Unitarians, they worship and they believe in the gospel of Jesus Christ, and they support gay marriage. They support multiculturalism. They support Freemasonry and socialism or whatever and all that stuff. And they believe in Jesus Christ and all of that. So Christianity is not a force of opposition here. And I used to think this myself, but it's not the case. What I have found and what I have discovered is the precise opposite. All of the Christian churches and Christian sects very vocally support the political establishment. These churches are very proud that they have a fiat currency. No Christian pastor to my knowledge has ever come out and actually ever talked about the central banking establishment and fiat currency. And this is not obscure ideas, okay? Don't give me this bullshit that this is not knowledge that people know about. No. Plenty of people at this point know about what fiat currency is and about central banking cartel monopolies, etc. All that stuff. Enough people should know about the Freemasonic lodges and what they practice and the occult nature. And by the way, when you join the Freemasonic lodge, they tell you themselves that they are not a replacement for the church. They are clearly an esoteric hermetical organization. A guild of sorts. They're basically a guild more than anything else. They'll tell you themselves that they are not a replacement for the church. And they're there to teach you morality and lessons about life and some of the history and stuff about the Masons, their practices, their guilds and stuff, and none of it is founded in Christianity. None of these churches come out in opposition of that. For 150 years, more than 150 years, evolution and Darwinian selection has been the foundation and cornerstone of science. And none of these churches ever did nothing about it. Like, when the communists took power in Russia, the Bolsheviks or the communists, and they won the Civil War and established the Soviet authority, the Russian Orthodox Church basically did nothing besides anathematize them. But beyond that, the Orthodox Church did virtually nothing. When the National Socialists took power in Germany, the Nazis took power, most of the churches basically supported the consensus. They supported the casus belli. They collaborated with the fascists, collaborated with the nationalists, and supported it. And it's like, and now, it's like there is no real major Christian opposition to globalization and to multiculturalism. And it really is bullshit to think otherwise. So I want to talk about my experiences with the church a bit, but I have read and studied everything about the church fathers and the scriptures, and I've gone to church and I have prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. And I have ceaselessly prayed and nothing has been done. Like, I have never experienced any of the so-called spiritual blessings or the so-called spiritual gifts that this religion professes. There is far to the contrary Nothing about my life has improved. In fact, it's just gotten worse. Nothing about my life has changed or improved in any way by going to church or doing what the church teaches. So, what I have to conclude, because I'm not going to go into every detail and outline everything here, I just want to, say that I don't really see what the tenets, the central of Christianity, the Christian creed, I don't see what they teach that professes to be morally better than Judaism, Islam, paganism, Buddhism, or any religion really, or even the lack of a religion, atheism, agnosticism. I don't see what these tenets really teach that shows that they're morally better than any other religion or no religion at all. And so, what I would say is, if you do want to believe in the moral teachings of Jesus Christ and the apostles, you can do that. You can certainly accept and learn the moral teachings of Jesus Christ and whatever. I mean, that's great. You can definitely listen to that message, but there's really nothing there besides the morality. It's like Jesus is saying one thing in the gospel, and then the Apostle Paul and the church is saying something completely different, sometimes in absolute opposition and directly opposite to what Jesus teaches. And it's like, how in the world is it that all these writings of the church fathers and the traditions of these different churches, how is it that they are in such opposition to what Jesus, the simple, more down-to-earth lessons that Jesus taught in the Bible? And you know what? If you really take to heart what Jesus teaches, Jesus literally talks about the temple establishment of his day. He literally breaks down the evils of following the traditions of man and following the customs and traditions that were added into the Mosaic law. And Jesus very vocally speaks against it. He talks about the wrongful traditions of man and how they go against the heart, how they go against the central tenets of, what he was professing at the time. I don't think that Jesus was in opposition to the Mosaic law, but I do think that he was definitely against the establishment of the temple and the Pharisees. And really the entire house of the temple. And when you look at the Christian church and what the Christian church teaches, it's exactly the same thing as the Pharisees. And that goes for all the Protestant, Catholic, Oriental Orthodox, and Greek Orthodox. They are the modern-day Pharisees, every single one of them. So, regardless, organized religion is evil. Institutionalized religion is definitely in support of the state. And there's no way that you can honestly, with character and integrity, say that you oppose the New World Order or oppose the deep state, and you oppose the things that the world does, and then lend support to the Christian church that supports the very things that you're supposed to be against. The church works directly in support and tandem with the state. They are the same thing. Especially here in the USA, the church and the state are completely tied to everything. So everything the founding fathers spoke against, at least the more liberal ones, like Thomas Jefferson, who wanted to separate the church and the state and keep their influence in their respective spheres of authority, the exact opposite from what Jefferson wanted, you find in Trump's America. Trump's America, the church and state are perfectly aligned. And the church says nothing about Freemasonry or socialism or multiculturalism or feminism. It's always a secular voice that speaks in opposition to that. It's never a Christian voice that speaks out against it. You know, where are the priests? Where are the bishops? Where are the preachers and the presbyters in their pulpits speaking out on these things? They don't. Every time I see a serious oppositional force who is not connected to the feds, who does not have connection to the feds, it's usually a secular authority. And it's just, it's sad in a way, but it's a reality that you will have to come to accept. And I know that most people, 99% of most people, simply cannot accept the truth and accept the facts for what it is, that the church is in complete line with the influence of the state. 200 years ago, 300 years ago, it was the church that was pushing the culture. It was the church that was at the center of the culture, at least the higher culture, and was driving what the state did. Today, it's the opposite. It's the state that is the driver of culture, and it's the state and the world that dominates over the church. And I am in no way proud to come on here and say this on a stream. This is not what I intended to find when I did my research and I investigated all of these different religious sects. Okay, it is not to my benefit to really say these things, and it's not something that I like to say. Contrary, I would prefer the opposite, but I'm a man of the truth. I am a man who professes the truth, or at least I would like to claim to profess the truth. And I'm going to do what I feel is right. And I am going to say that the church today has no answers. If you want to believe the moral teachings and the faith of Jesus Christ, and you want to profess that, that's fine. But don't try to push it onto other people, okay? The teachings of the church are in complete opposition to the things that Jesus taught. And the alignment of church and state in Trump's America is in complete opposition to what founding fathers like Thomas Jefferson and Thomas Paine, and Benjamin Franklin, and even George Washington, for that matter, wanted to have. Abraham Lincoln, though technically Lincoln was not a founding father. Lincoln never even really went to church. Abe Lincoln became so disgusted by the church, he literally stopped going to church entirely. He went to several different sects, and he just eventually stopped going entirely. And he was completely against the idea of organized religion. It seems to me that institutionalized religion is the source of a lot of problems in the world, and indeed, organized Christianity is the source of more problems and more ills and prejudices and divisions in society than actually trying to bring people together. It causes divisions and it makes things worse in America and in other countries overseas more than it actually helps. So, I have studied these things very heavily. I know what I'm talking about. I reject the tenets of Christianity has an organized religion. I don't necessarily go against the faith, but I do go against the teachings of the entire establishment and the institutions, because I am against the state. I am in full opposition, and I am against the Republican Party. I am against the Democrat Party. I am against the American state. I oppose everything that the government and the state professes, and to be consistent with my standing, to be consistent with what I know and hold to be true and factual and scientifically sound, I have to oppose organized institutional religion. I don't see an answer in this made-up tradition of man, these man-made traditions that do not hold a candle to anything other than causing and furthering war, genocide, indigenous genocide, holocausts, wars, prejudice, hate, and indifference among people. I cannot profess myself to be part of something like that and to actually lend credit or lend support to such hateful, disgusting things like that. That's just not me. I can't do something like that. I cannot think like that. And I cannot, in my better judgment, agree to something like that. So I have to oppose institutional religion and organized religion overall. All the church is just a support for the state. The church backs the state. It buffs the state up. And it says that the Christian church says that it's good for Israel to kill Palestinians. The Christian church says that it is morally good for the National Reserve Army to go into different cities and kidnap people and kidnap humans and, put them away into prisons or detention centers without trial by jury, without due process of law, but just affirm tyranny. And, I don't agree with everything that Bill Cooper said. I'm not the most diehard Bill Cooper fan, but I've listened to Bill Cooper's stuff over the years. I've listened to a few things that he has said and done. And someone on Discord that I was talking to actually compared me a few times to Bill Cooper, and I have to say that I agree. Bill Cooper was right about a lot of things. Bill Cooper was right about quite a lot of things. And he was far from perfect, and I think he was right. The Christianity today, the Roman Catholic Church, is controlled by the Illuminati and Freemasonry, and it is run in tandem with the elites, and the church supports the state in committing genocide and atrocity and murders and wars and evil acts, which are very much immoral, very ungodly things. And these are the things that these Christians, these Christ cucks, profess to be a religion. I don't see how these people are any better than Satanists. I fail to see how these Christians are any better than Satanists or Muslims or just outright atheists. In many ways, they're actually worse. There's got to be a reason why atheists score higher in intelligence, lower in crime rates, lower in incarceration rates. They score higher in intelligence and overall job performance. atheist homes are happier overall than Christian homes. And this is not an accident. Then there's no way that you can actually go by these obvious statistics and not realize that something about the United States of America is fundamentally flawed. There is something about Christianity and about the Christian church as an institution that is fundamentally flawed. I can't really say what it is, but all that I can say is that it is the servants of the bank. The banks are the gods of this society, and Christians worship banks and banking more than they do their own religion. So anyways, I'm done with this rant. So I'm Imperator of Forge. Thank you for watching. I'm going to go ahead and end it now.